Hey everybody, today is Thursday. Thankful Thursday. What are you thankful for? Think for a second about that. Could be your family, could be your home, might be your friends, could be your pets, food. There are a lot of things to be thankful for. Right now, we should be definitely thankful for technology so that we can deliver things to you without having to be face to face. So technology right now is definitely something for us to be thankful for. I'm thankful that I'm able to do this. I'm thankful that I'm able to share my love of reading with you, share my love of books, and to continue to do that even though I can't see you like face to face. So in the spirit of being thankful, I also want us to think about being kind. I have a new t-shirt. See, it's called Be Kind. And whenever I ordered it, I got this little sign that came in. It says Be Kind. So our story today is going to be focused on talking about being kind, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go and at the end, okay? I know right now you're kind of like, you might be stuck at home with all of your brothers and sisters and, your family, and maybe you're not used to being together so often. So sometimes everybody can kind of get on each other's nerves, and this is kind of it's a book for us to kind of help remember what we need to do. You will recognize the characters. It is a book that I chose based on the theme about being kind. And I know I've been telling you that I've been choosing stories that you may not have heard before. This one you may have heard before. As soon as I show it to you, you're going to recognize it because I have a lot of these in the library, and it is actually one of our ticket books. It is a Berenstain Bear story, and they are just checked out all the time. So even as long as I've been a media specialist, they have been being checked out. When I was a school teacher, they were checked out. My students love them. They are good for ages second, third, fourth, fifth. Well, there's levels of the books are usually around like third and fourth, but I have just several grade levels that love to listen and love to hear Berenstain Bear stories. So we're going to get started. This story is Berenstain Bears and the Trouble with Friends. It is a 3.5. It is worth half a point. And the quiz number is 7471. Okay, again, 7471. And even if you're not unable to take a quiz on some of these stories that I'm reading, I hope you listen anyway, because as we've talked about, I mentioned I think on the first day, or maybe the second day, there are many books that are just excellent stories, but they may not be an AR story, or they may not be in your AR level. And so I want you to think about that don't just choose a book just because it's in your level, okay? Right now, you're able to choose and do and get any kind of book that you want. You can read anything you want. It would be beneficial and helpful to you to read, okay? If it's a little bit too high, then ask someone in your house, in your family, to read to you. So don't always worry about the level of the book. If it's something you're interested in and something you like, then read the book. Look at the pictures. Try to figure out some of the words. Or like I said, ask somebody to help you. Okay, so let's get started. Again, Berenstain Bear's Trouble with Friends. So what do you think this might be about? Let's think about that for a second. Trouble with friends. Look at the expressions on the faces. This is Sister Bear. And this is another character. Okay, we'll learn about her in a minute. Who's that in the background? That's Mama Bear. This is by Stan and Jan Berenstain. Some people say Berenstain, so I say Berenstain. Excuse me, did I skip a page? Sorry. Sister and Brother Bear, who lived with their mama and papa in the big treehouse down a sunny dirt road deep in bear country, were not only sister and brother, they were playmates, and they got along pretty well most of the time. But brother was quite a lot older than sister, almost 2 years older, and sometimes he wasn't much interested in the games that she wanted to play, especially when sister got a little bossy, which sometimes she did. You might have somebody in your family that's a little bit bossy. You might have a brother or sister, or you might think one of your parents is a little bossy sometimes. But sometimes, that's just the way they are. So we're going to learn a little bit about that in just a few minutes, okay? Now, she said one day as she came out of the treehouse with a big armload of her dolls and stuffed animals, we're going to play tea party. You sit there and be the papa, and I'll sit here and I'll be the mama. Oh, gee, sis, said brother, I'm too old to play tea party. Why, if Cousin Freddie or any of the guys saw me, I'd never hear the end of it. Why don't you find somebody your own age to play tea party with? Besides, I have a date to go skateboarding with Freddie. And off he zoomed, leaving sister all by her lonesome. All right for you, she shouted. Oh dear, said Mama, who was watching from the treehouse window. There goes brother off to play with Freddie again. I do wish sister had somebody her own age to play with. What about her school friends? Asked Papa, joining her at the window. They all live too far away, sighed Mama as she watched lonesome sister pick up her trusty jump rope and start jumping with a friendly frog. Soon a butterfly joined in. She has her forest friends, the frogs and butterflies, to play with, said Papa. Frogs and butterflies are all very well, said Mama, but they're not the same as having a cub friend your own age. That's when Mama saw the moving truck out of the corner of her eye. Look, she said. A new family is moving into the empty treehouse down the road. It certainly would be nice if they had a cub sister's age. Sister saw the truck too, and the car following it. Somebody's moving to the empty treehouse, she said. I wonder if they have any cubs. And off she skipped down the road to investigate. The truck stopped at the empty house, and the moving bears began to unload it. The car pulled in behind the truck, and the new family got out. There was a mama, a papa, and a little girl cub just about sister's age. Sister could hardly believe her good luck. Just what she needed. A little girl cub to jump rope, play tea party, and house, and school, and have all kinds of cub fun with. She could hardly wait to say hello. So she skipped over and introduced herself. And we were talking about being kind. When you go over or you go up to someone and you introduce yourself and you say, hi, I am, if I said, hello, my name is Miss Byrd, and you're meeting them for the first time, that is a kind thing to do, especially when someone moves into your neighborhood and they don't know anyone. Hi, I'm Sister Bear. I'm 6 years old and I live just down the road. Hi, said the new cub. I'm Lizzie Bruin and this is my papa and mama, Mr. and Miss Bruin. I'm 6 years old too. May I try your jump rope? I can do red hot pepper. And could she ever? Lizzie Bruin was the fastest rope jumper Sister had ever seen. I can jump to 1,000, said Sister. I can do 1,001, said Lizzie, returning the rope. 1,002, snapped Sister. 1,003, said Lizzie. Well, we'll just have to see about that. Let's have a jump off here and now, said Sister. Let's not and say we did, said Lizzie. Say, isn't that a playground over there? Last one is a rotten egg. And off she ran with Sis doing her best to catch up. So what they were doing, this talking back and forth and kind of snapping back and forth at each other, is that very kind? No, that's not very kind at all. So if someone says, oh, I can do it better, or like she said, I can do 1,000, and she said I could do 1,001, you probably just need to stop that conversation and just say, okay, well, you win, and just keep going, okay? Because sometimes you're not going to win that conversation, and then usually it turns into more than that, and that's when things, people's feelings get hurt. So let's not do things like that are unkind. Well, said Mama, who had been watching from the window, the new cub certainly is a lively little thing. She may be just what Sister needs. Sister and Lizzie had quite an afternoon. They climbed to the top of the jungle gym. They rode the seesaw. They pushed each other on the swings. They played tag. They laughed and giggled and rolled down a grassy bank and picked wildflowers for their mamas. Why, thank you, Sister. How lovely, said Mama, putting her wildflowers in water. Well, what's your new friend like? Her name is Lizzie. She's 6 years old. She's an only cub, and, Sister said, she's a little bossy. Oh, said Mama. Well, you certainly seem to be having some fun with her. Oh, yes, said Sister. I had a lot of fun. A little bossy and a little braggy. The next morning, bright and early, the phone rang. It was Sister's new friend, Lizzie. I'm going to pull this a little bit closer. You can see the pictures maybe hopefully a little bit better. Want to come over and play school? Asked Lizzie. Okay, said Sister. Bring some of your dolls and stuffed animals, added Lizzie, because mine aren't unpacked yet. So Sister gathered up some of her favorite dolls and stuffed animals and headed for the treehouse down the road. Come on in here, called Lizzie from the garage. My mama and papa are still fixing up and putting away, so we're going to play in here. Who did you bring? My best doll and stuffed animal, said Sister, and this is my special teddy that I've slept with every night since I was a baby. Do you remember on yesterday's episode, Elmer and the Lost Teddy? And we talked about that you may sleep with a teddy. So here's Sister Bear sleeps with a teddy bear. That's kind of cool. It kind of goes along with our story from yesterday. Lizzie had set up the garage like a schoolroom. There were boxes for the pupils to sit on, and there was another box for the teacher's desk. There was even a blackboard and chalk for lessons. This is going to be fun, thought Sister Bear as she began sitting her toys on the boxes. That's when she heard the tapping sound. It was Lizzie, tapping on the desk. She had a pretend pointer in one hand and a piece of chalk in the other. What do you think she's wanting to do, or what is she doing with that pointer? Let's see. And look at Sister Bear's expression. What do you think she's thinking when she hears that tapping? Please be seated, Sister. It's time for your lessons. Today I'm going to teach you the alphabet. The first letter of the alphabet is Now just wait just a minute, protested Sister. Who said you were going to be the teacher? When I play school, I'm the teacher. And not only that, I already know my ABCs. Sister Bear, if you don't sit down this minute, I'm going to keep you after school, said Lizzie. Is that so? Shouted Sister. Well, if you don't give me that pointer, I'm going to keep you after school. So, here we go. That's when Sister grabbed the pointer. Soon they were rolling around on the floor, wrestling for the pointer, which broke in two. Now look what you did, shouted Lizzie. You broke my best pointer. not going to play with you ever again," shouted Sister, gathering up her toys. "I'm going to take my dolls and go home." "Sister's mad, and I'm glad," shouted Lizzie as Sister marched out of the garage. "Lizzie, Lizzie, in a tizzy," Sister shouted back. Back so soon?" asked Mama when Sister returned looking like a storm cloud. "I'm never going to play with that Lizzie Bruin again," shouted Sister. "She's much too braggy and bossy. I don't need her to play school or anything else. It's much better playing by yourself. When you play by yourself, you can do what you want, when you want, without having to worry about that Lizzie Bruin." "That's true," said Mama in a quiet voice. "Of course, there are some things you really can't do very well by yourself." "Like what?" asked Sister. "You'd have a pretty hard time pushing yourself on a swing," said Mama. "And I'd like to see you ride a seesaw by yourself. Most games like hopscotch and jacks take at least 2 people to play. And it certainly is nice to have someone to laugh and giggle with." "Maybe so," said Sister. "But Lizzie is much too braggy and bossy. Why does she have to be the teacher when we play school?" "Seems to me," said Mama, taking Sister on her lap, "that Lizzie isn't the only cub that's braggy and bossy sometimes. And of course, there is one thing you can do much better by yourself." "What's that, Mama?" "Be lonesome," said Mama quietly. And that's when somebody knocked on the door. So who was Mama talking about when she said there's somebody else that's braggy and bossy? Who do you think's at the door? It was Lizzie, and she was carrying Sister's teddy. When Sister took all her dolls and went home, she forgot her teddy, she said. And well, I knew it was her special favorite that she slept with since she was a baby, and I thought she might miss it. "Why, thank you, Lizzie," said Mama. "That was very thoughtful of you." "Thank you very much," said Sister, hugging her teddy. "And you can be teacher if you want to," said Lizzie. "Or," said Sister, "we can take turns being teacher." "Terrific," said Lizzie. "Great," said Sister, gathering up her doll and stuffed animals again. "Last one back to your garage is a rotten egg." And off she scooted, laughing and giggling, with Lizzie scampering after her. And that's the end of our story. The Berenstain Bears and the Trouble with Friends. It was a 3.5. It's worth half a point. The quiz number is 7471. And like I said, I chose that story because, right now we're having to be at home and we're having to be with others a lot more often than what we're accustomed to. So sometimes we can get on each other's nerves. Sometimes we can just get annoyed by something that somebody does, and maybe we didn't realize they did it because we didn't see them that often. So just think about it whenever you're with someone. The best thing to do is, if somebody I think is getting on your nerves, you just get up and leave the room, okay? Just take yourself away from that situation and put yourself in a calming area. Go to your room, go read a book, go watch television, do whatever kind of make you chill out for just a couple of minutes to get away from that situation that might be getting on your nerves. Doing what Sister Bear and Lizzie did about fighting on the floor and all that's definitely not the way to go. That's definitely not being kind to each other. And also, somebody could get hurt, which would make things much, much worse. And so here's my suggestion, like whenever they were talking about they would take turns. If you have your brother or sister, or, there's 3 or 4 of you, put your names in a cup. Write all your names down on a piece of paper. Cut them up. Fold them up. Put them in a cup. Let your mom or somebody else pull out the first name. Okay? So whoever she calls, pulls out first, that person can go first. Then she pulls out the next one, that person can go second, and so on. If there's only 2 of you, then whoever she pulls first will go first. And you can take turns going back and forth. It shouldn't be up to you guys to decide who goes first, because guess what? You might fuss over that. So again, I hope you enjoyed the story, and I will be seeing you again tomorrow. And I hope you can go back and see my other lessons or episodes, and maybe you can see some of the jokes that I shared with you yesterday. And I want you to go, and one of the ones that was the last one, I definitely want you to go and ask somebody that particular joke. That one was funny to me. So again, I will see you tomorrow, and tomorrow will be our last story for this week. And I hope that you guys have a good evening and enjoy this cool weather, because it's not going to last much longer. But I will see you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye, guys.